This offseason for the West Virginia Mountaineers could be the best in the history of the program, and I'm not exaggerating. I'll tell you why on this episode of Locked On West Virginia.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name's Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, brought to you by FanDuel, guys. That's right. Get started with a new deal on FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet. Make sure you head to FanDuel today to get started. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Man, we got big news on the recruiting front for the West Virginia basketball squad. We'll recap last night's game. I was just too pissed and too tired to talk about it that late. And then if we have time, we'll talk a little football. So this upcoming offseason is shaping up to be, and we're not even talking about portal yet, the best in the history of the program from a recruiting standpoint, and it's not close. Imagine getting, what's a good comparison? Imagine getting 3 Devin Ebanks in one offseason, because that's what these guys are on pace to do, perhaps even better. 247 Sports had it earlier. The individual rankings for the class of 2025 have been given a boost, starting with Huntington, West Virginia wing Braden Hawthorne, who made a huge move, guys. He received that initial 86 when he committed to West Virginia. No. I mean, he was, 149th player in the country. That's top 150. That's really good. Well, now he jumps all the way up to the 70th ranked player in the nation with a 4-star 90 ranking. Now jumping again to 92 is an insane, I can't explain how big of a jump that is. It's enormous from a recruiting standpoint. Hawthorne is a mixture of obviously size, shooting with some guard skills. And I'm honestly scared of quite a few things, really, to be honest. I mean, you're talking about he's 6'8", 6'9", 175. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. And look, his offers as of right now: Florida Gulf Coast, Mount St. Mary's, Ohio, Old Dominion, West Virginia. That's going to change. I worry about, this kind of stuff for sure. I do. I worry about him getting poached. Obviously, him being in Huntington's a big deal in West Virginia. That matters. But he hasn't been offered by Duke yet. He hasn't been offered by North Carolina yet. He's going to get it. I mean, at this pace, at 70th, Kentucky would offer this guy. So at the end of the day, man, this is going to be a tough class to hold on to, in my opinion anyway. I think it's going to be a really tough class to hold on to. And look, at the end of the day, if you can land 2 of these guys, any 2 of these 3, and you're talking about an elite class, this right there with the best in the Big 12, I would imagine this is a top 3 or 4 class in the conference without looking, because it doesn't stop there. Oh, by the way, somebody else received a bump. How about Kevin Odie, 4-star wing from SoCal Academy? Unbelievable, man. He's also a 92 graded player. In the composite, he's a 97 graded player. So other places have him rated higher. This is one where, okay, you can look at it and say, okay, West Virginia's got a good shot to hang on to this guy because Rutgers, Marquette, Colorado, others have reached out to him. Iowa, Louisville, Xavier, Texas A&M, SMU, Oklahoma State, anybody that plays ball reached out to this guy. No, He is committed to West Virginia, 6'4", 190, SoCal Academy, like I said. Big fan of him as well. I think he is going to be a huge impact player in year one, for sure. Hawthorne is one of those ones where, I mean, Hawthorne is just he's a Kevin Durant type looking type. Like that's the mold of player he is. I'm not saying he's going to be that good, but that's what he looks like. And he's got a great stroke. He can shoot it. And he's a really talented guy. He can dribble. He's getting bigger and more muscular now. Like if you look at just in a year how much bigger he's gotten, it's pretty crazy. After a year in college, it's going to be nuts. And I think if Hawthorne has the most upside, no doubt. If we can hold on to him, he'll be a one-and-done player, in my opinion. I really do believe that. So we'll see, though. Maybe he takes an extra year to develop, and then that would be okay by me as well. So, this is one heck of a recruiting class, man. How can you not be impressed with what Chester Frazier and Darian Devries are doing right now? I don't think we've ever seen it. Bob Huggins didn't recruit this way. Let's go there first. And that's fair, right? But they're not the only ones that got a bump. Trent McLean got a bump too. 6'9", 195, stretch 4. 90. He's a 90 now. And he had only been offered up until now by St. Mary's, UC Santa Barbara, UC Riverside, St. Bonaventure, those kind of teams. Now West Virginia picked up his commitment just a few months ago, which is the teammate of Kevin Odie. Look, I'll be honest, man. I love this kid's game. Doesn't matter his band. If you see him in the chat again, let me know. I'll ban him again. He'll probably come back as another name. All right. So for those who listen on podcasts, I had to ban somebody in the YouTube chat that was being disrespectful. So Trent McLean is another big time player for West Virginia. Obviously, like I was saying, it's going to be one heck of a class. 2 6'9" guys, 1 6'4" guy, and I think we got another one. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Let me make sure, because I thought it was 4 deep, right? Let me make sure. It could be just 3. All right, so looks like no, just the 3. Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure though, just to make sure. So, like I said, guys, this is huge news though. That's also kind of scary because, like I said, how are we going to hold on to all these top-rated guys at West Virginia? I don't know. I don't know the answer to this. But yeah, as far as, like I said, with Hugs, he did not recruit these type of players. He recruited lower level players and developed them over the course of time. As a matter of fact, he told Bill Self famously, well, the reason Bill Self and I get along is because I don't recruit the players he does. So that's not West Virginia. That's not happening with Darian Devries. So it's going to be interesting to see over the course of the next 6 months how these guys stick around. We can just get pen to paper and get these guys here. I think we're in great shape. And look, you add these guys with Tucker DeVries, with Jonathan Powell, with KJ Tenner, and returnees that we could possibly have next year if Tucker decides to return. You're talking about, I think this is like an FAU situation where if we can get most of the guys back and this nice recruiting class, man, this is a team that you could really see like being one of the best in all the country. And we'll remedy those big man issues in the portal this upcoming year. It's going to be great. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, let's recap that Arizona State game. Why did it happen? Well, got some hints. I think I know what happened. And it wasn't all on the court either. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by, well, I have to find out because my screen crashed out. That's how it goes sometimes, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me get to these ad reads again. Sometimes technology just fails us. Okay, today is Wednesday, January 22nd. All right. Oh, and a new one I haven't even seen before. I couldn't get it to pull up beforehand, so I was hoping that it would eventually work. Okay, let's go back into it again. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. This message, brought to you by Prize Picks, is the place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions in winnings. Prize Picks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or regular season, Prize Picks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all the football action. Now, it's playoff time, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks. Here's how it works. You should simply pick more or less on at least 2 players, and if your pick's it, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's right. 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple clicks. Get ready to run your game this football season. Download the app and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. That's right, man. Just $50 for just playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prize Picks at Prize Picks and run your game. Look, we're in segment 2, so we might as well crack a do. This is a good one, too. It's got a little bit of slush in it. Yeah. So, all right. Let's talk last night. And look, it was ugly. I could tell early this team didn't have it. Javon Small looked horrible, from a physical standpoint. Like, he just didn't look like he was capable of putting out more than he did. And the numbers show it. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, well below, almost double what he did last game or half what he did last game. Jonathan Powell chipped in what he normally does with 12 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist. After that, it was Okani, Sincere, Eduardo, all with 8. Hansberry had 7. KJ and Joseph Yesufu was 0. You needed one other guy to step up and do, double figures to be in this game. And that just wasn't going to happen. And then obviously the rebounding numbers were just atrocious. West Virginia continued a hot streak at the free throw line, 17-20. 3-pointers only 4-29, which is just obviously if you get your season average, you win this game by double digits. Which is what I predicted to happen. 13% from 3, which is just an atrocious number. Can't happen. You just can't allow it to happen, but it did. 3 blocks on the game, which was decent. 11 steals, which I thought, they did well turning them over in the first half. Only with 6 turnovers. If you just showed me that before the game, I'd have thought we would have won. Those shooting numbers, look, at the end of the day, and look, like I said, this team won't make any excuses, but I'll make excuses for them. The flu bug or some type of sickness hit the locker room. I reached out to a couple of players, obviously, today to ask about that, and it was bad. You've got guys that couldn't hold down their lunch before the game. You've got guys in bed today after the game. You've got guys that aren't feeling well, man. And at the end of the day, if you've ever had the flu or a sickness like that, have you ever tried to play basketball with it before? I know I had the flu, but they're so bad one time, and I don't know to what level that they have it. And I know they're Division I, and I know they're getting paid. I get all that. Michael Jordan did it, but he was a phenom and a freak of nature. I still don't think Jordan had the flu like I had the flu, though, because there's no way physically I wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, my body was I couldn't even stand up without feeling like the room is spinning, So, I know, there are levels to the flu as well, and it hits some people harder than others. But it was really obvious that this team was impacted by the flu. And I think, or some kind of sickness. I don't want to label it as the flu because I haven't confirmed that. But this team wasn't themselves, on top of probably already being exhausted. On top of Arizona has a bunch of talent that just hasn't come to, all together yet. It was a big win for them, a quad 1 win. It was a bad loss for us, quad 2 or 3 loss. I have to look at it. And Arizona State played well. I think they've got a lot of upside on that team, obviously. I doubt Quaintance is going to be there past this year. If he is, I'll be kind of, shocked that he stays. Everybody and their mom's going to offer that kid a ton of money to leave, but we'll see. This game was as high as a 10 points deficit at times. And look, the record between us now is very minimal. They're 12-7. We're 13-6. We're in danger territory if we lose the next game. I think, somebody mentioned that earlier. I still think we'll make the tournament easily. But look, this flu can linger for sometimes weeks. Seriously. So I hope that doesn't happen. I'm just saying the flu can last a little while. Let's hope it's not COVID or something a little bit longer lasting. But I'm not – this is a bad time of the year to get it. Although at least you've already had all your top 10 wins already. You're in the tournament as long as you can get to 17 wins. I think you're in, truthfully. This team's got the resume that, you see teams get in with 17 wins sometimes. It's because they got this kind of resume. We've got the resume to get in with 17, but we'd like to have 18 or 19 for sure. And I think we're still going to win 20 plus. I do. Last night I was not expecting, but even on my list when I went down the schedule, I even had us lose some games I didn't think we would lose. So make this one of those. I still think we have a shot to win 22, 23 games. It's just that last night was a bad combination of you're in a letdown spot after an emotional Iowa State victory against a team that was superior to you in talent. You still beat. So I get it. And then you had a team that was really hungry and desperate for a win, well coached. Combine that with the fatigue from having such a short bench and a sickness moving through the locker room, and there you got an upset. I think it's going to serve us well in the end because it gives Darren something to coach, a position of strength to coach from. They're not, as my dad would say, getting too big for their britches. And I predict this team will respond well to this adversity. And I think Kansas State's in for some trouble. But they've got talent too. We know that. It's the Big 12. So we'll see what happens going forward. But I wouldn't be shocked, man, if this team plays really well from here on out and continues to be extraordinarily beating the odds, week after week, because that's what they're doing. We're still ahead of schedule, So I will point out, though, I remember we've been at this point in a couple times in the past, 13, 14 wins, and then just tanked the last few years. Let's hope that doesn't happen. By the way, by tanked, I don't mean on purpose. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, let's talk a little football, make some predictions, talk about the spring coming up. It's going to be fun in football, man. Stick around for that. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode is going to be brought to you by Talkspace, the Evergreen campaign. Therapy is a game changer. It can manage stress, improve sleep, help you communicate more effectively, but finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge. Well, that's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace is the leading virtual therapy provider, and it makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within about 48 hours, and it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist between appointments. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans, and for most insurance members, there's a $0 copay. It can be even easier to prioritize mental health with that kind of price. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter the promo SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code SPACE80. All right, let's get one more drink and do. I normally only let myself to one drink and do per show, but let's do two for this one. It's segment 3. No Dr. P. We'll drink some dew. That's good. Let's talk football. So the spring's upcoming. And I am super interested in the positional battles that are coming for uh, this team. It's going to be super interesting to see who wins what job. And there are a few that I think you look at and say, okay, that's going to be an interesting fight there. That's going to be an interesting fight there. And who's going to win some of these jobs, man? I think the offensive line is going to be interesting. I think quarterback's going to be interesting, even though people don't want to talk about it. I think a lot of people think that it's Nico's to lose. Maybe that is. Maybe it is. I loved his appearance on the Toothman thing today. If you didn't see that, Nico had a little promo with Toothman Ford. It was pretty funny. But wide receiver is going to be kind of cool. I think, will a guy – because I talked to a guy yesterday from Eastern Michigan, by the way. Man, the kid we got over, what's it, Elon Singleton, or however you say his name, Eastern Michigan wide receiver. Let's see. Make sure I got his name right. Oran, Oran Singleton Jr. I was, I reached out. I got a buddy whose kid plays for, who played in Ironton, that plays at Eastern Michigan, and I was asking him about Singleton. And Jonkum, the guy we missed at Virginia Tech. He said Singleton was their best offensive weapon, take it to the house any point in time, is a really good player. And I've said, on here that I think he'll be a great special teams contributor and maybe win that slot job, one of the slot jobs. Rodney, I think Rodney's got a chance to be really good under Rich Rod because he's used the type of receiver Rodney is well in the past, like a Jock Sanders-esque. I think Rodney needs to gain maybe a little bit of weight to be like a Jock Sanders, who was a little bit more big, like physical in the legs, especially. Or it's funny. Darius Raynaud and Jock Sanders are like the exact same player. If anybody ever thought that besides me, like when I think of them, I think they're the same player almost. Like they were carbon copies of each other. The most similar players that I can think of almost in history, like at West Virginia. Jock Sanders, Darius Raynaud were literally clones of each other. So I want to know if, maybe Rodney or somebody like that can mimic that. But certainly, absolutely, that's one spot to look at. But I want to talk about the quarterback spot here because I think that's the most interesting one. I think, Max Brown's not going to win this one, obviously. I think Henderson's got a great shot. And I think Nico does too. He has a home field advantage. He's got the fan support as well. And he's got the relationship advantage, I think. Anyway, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but obviously he's been on campus with Rich Rod even before any of this has gone down. So I'm excited to see who wins that job. I think Nico has the upper hand, absolutely. But I won't count Jalen Henderson out. I've said it multiple times. He's definitely a more dangerous runner from a quickness and speed perspective. Nico probably a little more physical at this point in time. And then, I don't know. I look at it and I think Nico's extremely physical, but who's the better thrower between them? I think Henderson's a little bit better thrower too. So I don't know who's going to win that job, but it's going to be super fun. It's going to be super fun to see who wins it. On the offensive line, I think Bosley wins the tackle job. I think Livingston wins the center job. I think, it's going to be close, but I think Macanioli and Crawford maybe wouldn't both win a job in this. Cray's got a shot. And then obviously William Reed. So we'll see. I think he's going to win a job too. It's going to be fun on the O-line too. And then the secondary is going to be totally rebuilt. So, I mean, there's only like one or two guys that can even fight for a job there. Linebackers, same thing, really. I think Reed Carrico, guys like that coming back, Ben Cutter are going to have really good chances to win jobs. But overall, this team's going to be totally remade. It's going to be interesting to see how Rich Rod does it again. Because they started out 0-3 last year, then they went on a run. Well, I don't know if you can do that in the Big 12. You got to win your first few games, which luckily we've got easy competition to start out. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me. I've got to cut it loose a little early today because I've got groceries to go get, and it's already getting dark outside. The weather's nasty. I got to go run and do it. But thanks for joining. I will be back. If something breaks or anything breaks, I'll be back. But I'll be back tomorrow to talk with you guys, and we'll do something on basketball. Obviously, got to preview Kansas State, but also we got to talk about this more in depth. I have to do more research on the depth chart. So stick around, guys. We'll have a lot more coming for you. Some interviews coming up too with some players. Just stick around for all that. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great evening. Great day to me and Mountaineer, even though we lost yesterday. We'll bounce back, and I'll see you next time. Good night, guys.